Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're getting real about how to work with these incredibly powerful AI tools. They're changing everything about how we create and research, but honestly, using them safely, that takes a whole new set of skills. So let's dive into a practical guide for doing exactly that. So here's the thing we're all bumping up against. Using a large language model is kind of like having a brilliant but super naive intern. It's unbelievably fast, it's read more than any human ever could, and it can produce some amazing stuff. But, and this is a big but, as sources like CNN.com point out, it can also just confidently make things up, what we call hallucinating, and it won't give you any sign that it just pulled something out of thin air. And that leads us to the big question, right? When the stakes are high, maybe you're a teacher building a lesson plan, or a manager drafting a new policy, or a professional pulling together a critical report, how do you go from just playing around with AI to actually trusting it as a reliable partner in your work? To figure that out, we've put together a game plan. First, we're going to really nail down this confidence problem. Then we'll walk through 3 absolutely essential skills: how to ground your AI, how to use what we're calling an LLM council, and how to automate with orchestration. We'll talk about where you, the human, are still completely irreplaceable, and then we'll wrap it all up with a simple 5-step safety routine you can use for pretty much any task. You know, the biggest risk with generative AI isn't just that it's wrong sometimes. It's that it's so confidently and convincingly wrong. It'll present totally fabricated info with the same tone and authority as stone-cold facts, which makes it almost impossible to spot the mistakes unless you have a system built to catch them. Okay, so let's get into our first and probably most important skill, grounding. The best way to think about this is you're giving that brilliant intern a very specific stack of approved books and reports for a project, instead of just telling them to go search the entire chaotic Wild West of the internet. Now, there's a fancy technical name for this: retrieval augmented generation, or just RAG for short. It's a method that literally forces the AI to base its answers only on the trusted documents you give it. It's that simple. And that one constraint basically slashes hallucinations, because the AI is no longer allowed to just invent facts. So how does this work under the hood? It's a pretty straightforward pipeline. First, you provide your sources. That could be a curriculum guide, a company handbook, whatever. Then, when you ask a question, the system scans those documents and pulls out only the most relevant facts. It then automatically adds those facts to your prompt behind the scenes. And finally, the AI generates an answer that is directly tied to, and often even cites, the material you provided. It's a closed loop. And here's where you really see the difference it makes. Let's say you're a teacher. An ungrounded AI might spit out a lesson plan with made-up battles and wrong dates. That's worse than useless. It's actually harmful. But a grounded AI, using the school's approved textbooks as its source material, it delivers a lesson plan that's accurate, that you can verify, and that's ready to go. All right, on to skill number 2. So if grounding is all about limiting the source material, this next skill is about getting a second, and a third, and maybe even a fourth opinion. Instead of putting all your faith in just one AI model, you assemble what we're going to call an LLM council to check the work. And get this method is so solid, it was actually used to create some of the source material for this very explainer. When researchers were putting together a playbook on future trends, they asked multiple top AI models the same questions. Then they looked for the overlap, the consensus view. They used the council to get closer to the truth. And here's what that looks like in the real world. A school administrator needs to summarize a new policy. They give the exact same prompt to 2 different models. Now, one might focus on parental consent, while the other hones in on social media rules. The magic is in the middle, the consensus. The parts where they both agree, that's where your confidence should be the absolute highest. Now, look, you're not going to do this for everything. This method is really for the high-stakes stuff, where getting it wrong is just not an option. We're talking legal reviews, HR policies, financial reports, or official communications going out to the public. If you can't afford an error, you assemble the council. Okay, time to level up to our third and most advanced skill, orchestration. This is where we move beyond single tasks and start designing entire automated workflows that link different tools, steps, and even human checkpoints all together. The whole point of orchestration is to build what some of our sources call a virtual coworker or a digital worker, and this is not just a chatbot. We're talking about a system that's designed to understand a big picture goal, figure out the steps to get there, use different tools along the way, and see a really complex task through from start to finish. Here's a perfect example for a business. A new customer inquiry comes in, that's the trigger. An AI agent automatically pulls that customer's info from the database. Then, a grounded AI drafts a personalized reply. And here's the crucial part. It sends that draft to a human for a final look before it goes anywhere. It connects all the systems and keeps a human in the loop for quality control. Okay, so after all these technical skills, grounding, counsels, orchestration, we land on the single most important component in this whole system: you. Your job isn't just to push the buttons. It's to be the strategist, the curator, and the final judge. As our sources point out, an AI is brilliant at organizing data, but it doesn't really reason. It can't make ethical calls or come up with a truly novel idea. The human advantage is in curation, choosing the right sources to ground the AI in the first place, and judgment, knowing when to use the tool and when to just step back and rely on your own critical thinking. For students, this is all about building proof-first learning habits. Always verify before you trust. So let's put it all together. We can boil all of these skills down into one simple, repeatable playbook you can use for any important task you do with AI. Here it is, your 5-step safety routine. 1. Define the task and how high the stakes are. 2. Ground the AI with your trusted sources. 3. Let the AI produce the first draft. 4. Use that LLM counsel to cross-check for accuracy. And 5. Don't publish or finalize anything until the evidence is solid. This simple playbook works everywhere. For teachers, it means accurate lesson plans. For admins, it means reliable policy memos. For students, it builds amazing research habits. And for professionals, it's a safe way to start automating really important workflows. Think about it. 4 totally different worlds. The classroom, the main office, the library, the boardroom, all of them are wrestling with this exact same challenge. And all of them can use this exact same framework to solve it. It's that fundamental. Which brings us to one final thought. The most important skill in this new era isn't going to be prompt engineering, it's judgment. It's knowing what to create, how to verify it, and maybe most importantly, knowing what critical things you should choose not to automate at all. That's the real question. Thanks for tuning in.